This is going to be a rambling, a rant, but I want to talk about this particular subject. And first things first, I do this for me, for venting purposes. And if you don't like it, please get the fuck off my channel. I'm not looking for any praise, no accolades. Now, back to the subject at hand. I want to point out this particular segment right here that you see on this thumbnail. I want to point out something. To the person who wrote this in my comment section, this video is dedicated to you. Now, I want to talk about the Jordan politics, about the Jordan rules. Um, in my honest opinion, the Jordan rules are real. And when it comes to the difference between LeBron James and Michael Jordan, there are some similarities, but there are some differences. And the similarity part is that when it comes to the referees, for the most part, when it comes to the referees, they favor more to the popular character. I should have said a popular basketball player. Back in the '90s, they catered more to Jordan, and back in the like in the early 2010s, they catered more to LeBron James. But the difference is that Michael Jordan is more of a complete player than LeBron James. I have to admit. Don't get me wrong, LeBron James is a transcendent player, but when it comes to having that it's a word I'm looking for. When it comes to having that killer edge, that killer mentality, that's Michael Jordan. Because Michael Jordan has a mentality. Now, I ain't talking about Mamba mentality. I'm talking about the killing edge mentality. I forgot what it's called. I mean, the killer instinct. That's what it is, killer instinct. Michael Jordan, like on the basketball court, he had a killer instinct. LeBron James lacked the killer instinct. I mean, he had it for a brief moment when he played against the Boston Celtics, but that was many years ago. But for the most part, Michael Jordan had a killer instinct, and he used that killer instinct on the basketball court. And for the most part, it paid off. But overall, I'm not trying to denigrate Michael Jordan as a basketball player and his achievements, because he really is a great basketball player. Same thing with LeBron James, but this is more to Michael Jordan. But when it came to the Jordan rules, like I said before, in the '90s, the refs catered more to Jordan, because there's been some instances when players like Charles Barkley told the referee back in Chicago, I think back around the '97-'98 season, when he was playing with when Charles Barkley was playing with the Rockets, he told the referee in Chicago, he said, "Yeah, I know this Michael Jordan. I know this Michael Jordan." Telling the referee, that I'm not going to rough up Michael Jordan because I know that he's the poster boy of the NBA. So that lets you know right there that Michael Jordan was the poster boy of the NBA back in the '90s, and the ref was catering to Michael Jordan, was catering to Michael Jordan a little bit back in the '90s. And going back to the whole politics things, I'm gonna be real with you, man. Um, there was something that Michael Jordan said a long time ago. I think even in the documentary, it was alluded to the documentary, but mostly for what he said like a long time ago. And Craig Hodges gave a little bit of some details about it, how like basketball politics, like what's that old saying? The locker room etiquette. That's what it is, locker room etiquette. Whatever goes on in the boys' locker room, you don't disclose it out in the public. And Michael Jordan made a very fatal flaw when it came to that. And if I remember, I could be wrong. If I remember, Craig Hodges, the former player of the former basketball player, he used to play for the Bulls back in the '80s and early '90s. He was alluding to the fact that Michael Jordan, in some ways disrespected the boys in the locker room because of how he was, in some slick way or fashion, disclosing disclosing some things that was going on in the Chicago Bulls locker room. And Craig Hodges was saying that's locker room etiquette. You don't tell what's going on in the locker room, whatever locker room that you be in, man. You don't tell people's business like that, because if I'm not mistaken, Craig Hodges was saying that Michael Jordan was alluding to the fact that some of the some of the Bulls players back then was drinking, smoking, doing drugs, and they were fornicating with hookers. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Michael Jordan gave out a few names of the people who was out there doing drugs and all that shit, who was out there fucking hookers. I mean, who was out there having sex with hookers. And I said to myself, that's not good. So that lets you know that he's a snitch. That lets you know that Michael Jordan's a snitch and he can't be trusted. And overall, Craig Hodges was just saying that when it comes to locker room etiquette, it's not right nor good to tell out the business, tell out other people's business out there. Because whatever happens in the locker room stays in the locker room. And that's what kind of, I guess in some ways kind of made Craig Hodges and some of the players back then upset with Jordan. You don't do shit like that, and you don't supposed to. And I know, and there's something else I want to say, but this is kind of off the subject. But everybody knows that Michael Jordan's an asshole. Everybody knows that. And I remember it was that documentary. I forgot the name of the documentary where it was I forgot the name of the fucking documentary where they had all the former Bulls players during that second repeat. It was a documentary about the second repeat, about the Bulls, during the mid to late 90s. It was one particular segment when some of the Bulls players is in the locker room, and Michael Jordan made a joke, right? And for the most part, if I'm not mistaken, the joke was kind of disrespectful. It was classless. And he was the only person that was laughing in the locker room, and everybody else wasn't laughing. I'm going to be real with you, man. Like I said before, everybody knows that Michael Jordan's an asshole. Michael Jordan is that typical boss. He reminds me of the typical asshole boss that would make a joke that's not only funny but very disrespectful, and he's the only person that's laughing because he thinks it's funny, but to everybody else they not laughing. They're not laughing at all because it's bullshit. It's not funny and it's tasteless. That's what Michael. That's the type of person that Michael Jordan reminds me of. He reminds me of that typical asshole type of boss. And then speaking of bosses, if I'm not mistaken, I remember there was a video with Chameleon there talking about how he first met Michael Jordan and all that stuff, and how he was an asshole towards him and all that. But what caught my attention was when Chameleon said that a long time ago, Michael Jordan used to own this car washing joint. He used to own this car washing place, and the workers at the place was used to, in so many ways, the workers at the place did not like Michael Jordan because they said that he was very disrespectful towards his workers, cursing his workers out, what I'm saying, while he's smoking L's and all that shit, steadily cussing out people at his workstation and all that stuff. And then they said, if I'm not mistaken, Chameleon said that some of the workers would literally clean out Michael Jordan's limousine, and they found, blunt wrappers, L wrappers, blunt wrappers, L's in the limousine or in his vehicle while they, vacuum his vehicle out and all that stuff. And they were just saying that, Michael Jordan is a bad person. He's not a good person. He's a bad person. Because not only he cuss out his workers, but he's also a bad person. And like I said, it's not just the weed smoking, it's just the fact that how he treats other people. And when it came to his workers, that's a bona fide clue right there on how he treat his car washing workers at that joint years ago. But overall though, man, when it comes to NBA politics, man, there's some similarities when it comes to Michael Jordan and LeBron James, because they were both poster boys of their own respective era of the NBA. And the referees, in some ways, catered to both of those players. But don't get it twisted. Both of those players are transcendent athletes. And I have to remind you, any transcendent athlete can play in any era of basketball. That is the truth. But going back to the Jordan rules, I think it's very real. And going back to the locker room etiquette, that was not good on Michael Jordan's part. You do not expose people's dirty laundry out in the public, or being slick, or being slick about it. You know how people like say slick things, like giving out hints and clues and all that stuff about who's doing this, then the third in the locker room, knowing damn well it's nobody's business. Shit like that. See, that's how you get in trouble with the boys in the locker room. That's how you get in trouble with your fellow teammates. You know what I'm saying? Because it's nobody's business. And whatever what they do behind closed doors, that's their business. You know what I'm saying? And that's what pisses some people's off. And that's what pisses some people off, man. You do not disclose other people's dirty laundry like that. You don't do that shit. You don't expose people's dirty laundry like that. How dare you? Yeah, but that's all I gotta say about that, man. That's all I gotta say. But overall, to the person who wrote that slick comment, this video is dedicated to you. So congratulations, man. You're famous. So that's all I got to say about that, man. That's all I got to say. So yeah, man. So I thank you so much and have a good day.